Good day, viewers. My name is Uncle Kayode from A Plus Model School. Today, we want to look into the subject Social Studies. On this, we want to look into the topic Earth issues. I repeat, Earth issues. Under this, we want to see the concepts of STD and HIV/AIDS. We want to say the concept of STD and HIV/AIDS. On our next slide, we have the objective of the lesson. Pupils should be able to explain 1. The meaning of STD, HIV/AIDS. 2. Types of STD. 3. Sources of HIV infections. 4. Effect of STD, HIV/AIDS on family. Lastly, prevention of STD and HIV/AIDS. To start with, we have the meaning of STD, HIV/AIDS. We want to know the meaning of STD and HIV/AIDS. What is STD? The word STD, or the acronyms STD, simply means sexually transmitted diseases. This can be contracted through sexual intercourse with an opposite sex. That is, STD can be contracted during sex or sexual intercourse. The next one, HIV. The acronyms HIV simply means human immune virus. Human immune virus. It destroys part of the white blood cells that protects the body system from diseases. So, what HIV does is that there's a particular cell in our body which is called white blood cell. These white blood cells protect our body from diseases and germs. But this HIV destroys part of these cells so as to render it weak to attracting diseases and germs. Lastly, we have AIDS. 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 It simply means acquired immune deficiency syndrome. The word AIDS means acquired immune deficiency syndrome. This is the final stage of HIV. HIV finally graduated into AIDS after some certain years, probably 10 years of existence as HIV in the body. It then becomes an AIDS which is more severe than HIV. That is, AIDS is more dangerous than HIV. AIDS is more dangerous than HIV. When HIV becomes AIDS after 10 years in the body, it can lead to quick death of the person or the carrier. On our next slide, we have the types of STD. Some various types of sexually transmitted diseases, STD, are as follows. A. Gonorrhea. B. Syphilis. C. Herpes. D. HIV or AIDS, etc., etc. That is, more examples can be gotten by making more research on sexually transmitted diseases that are in the world today. On our next slide, we have sources of HIV infections. That is, we want to know how HIV can be contacted. How can it be transmitted from one source to another? There are many sources of HIV infections, namely 1. Unprotected sexual intercourse, which lead to exchange of body fluid. This body fluid can come in form of sweat, or exchange of blood is a fluid also. A fluid is just a liquid. Or exchange of sperm from the male gamete to female. 2. So while having sex, you are expected to use what we call condom so as to protect you from exchanging your semen into the opposite sex. If a semen that has HIV or that has been infected with HIV and AIDS goes into an opposite sex gamete, it will automatically affect the person or the opposite sex having HIV AIDS. 2. Unscrewed blood transfusion. This is common to the doctors and the nurses at the hospital. When you go to the hospital, the doctor takes your blood sample. The blood sample that is taken from you must be tested to be free of HIV, AIDS, or any sexually transmitted diseases infections, so as to avoid transfusing it into another person's body who is not having that disease. Because immediately the blood is transfused into the body of another person, the person will definitely have HIV or AIDS. That is, if the blood is not well screwed, that is, if it is not well examined before being transfused or transferred into another person's body. 3. Using piercing or sharp objects such as pin, needle, syringe, toothbrush with somebody who is already infected with the virus. So we have to avoid using sharp objects like blade. You don't share blade with anybody, either your parents or your brother or your sister, whoever it is. You are not expected to share sharp objects, because this can lead to contacting a sexually transmitted or any like HIV AIDS. It can lead to contacting HIV AIDS through the carrier of HIV AIDS. So we should avoid using sharp objects that has been used by another person. On our next slide, we have the effects of STD, HIV AIDS on family. That is, we want to look into the effects, that is the result of HIV AIDS on family. HIV can have a deadly effect on family when it becomes AIDS. Though drugs has been discovered for its maintenance. Drug has been discovered for its maintenance, but still it can still have a deadly effect on the family. The following are the general possible effects of these diseases. A. Marriage failure due to death or divorce. If an HIV AIDS carrier dies, either the husband dies or the wife dies, there will be a break in the marriage. The marriage won't be able to continue. Therefore, it can tell on the children. It can affect the children, the growing of the children negatively. B. Reduction in family income due to investment on drug to sustain the career. There will be reduction in the income that the family makes, maybe monthly or weekly. There will be reduction in the sense that the husband or the parent or the wife that is making an income will spend the family income on buying drugs for an infected person in the family. And the drugs to maintain HIV/AIDS are sometimes costly, so it will bounce back on the income of the family. That is, there won't be good or stable economy in the family. C. There will be breakdown in family relationship. That is, you will be scared of relating with an infected family present in your family. So, in that case, it will lead to a breakdown in family relationship. Lastly, stigma from members of the community. People in the community will not be able to associate with you easily. They will want to associate with you anyhow because they know you are carrying HIV. So those are the effects of these HIV infections. Lastly, we have how to prevent STD, HIV/AIDS in the family. That is, how can we prevent it? A. Couples must be faithful to one another. That is, the husband has to be faithful to their marriage vow. That is, when they get to the altar and they say, for better, for worse. That should just be for better, for worse in the marriage also, not by mouth. That is, the couples, they have to be faithful to their marriage vow to one another, in the sense that the husband should not be committing fornication, nor the wife should be committing adultery. B. They must be disciplined in their sexual dealings and in sharing of sharp objects, which at all should not be shared. The fact that you are both husband and wife or parents to children does not mean you should share sharp objects. It could be dangerous to your health. C. Couples has to be honest to one another. That is, the couples, the wife and the husband, they have to be honest, or even the family as a whole has to be honest to one another. That is, for example, if you notice that you are having HIV or you have been detected of it, don't fail to tell your husband or your wife or your children, so as to help you in maintaining the infection on time. Finally, they have to be God-fearing. Anybody who is God-fearing will not want to hurt another person. So, if you want to prevent STD, HIV/AIDS in your family or in the family, we need to be God-fearing. The above stated objectives must be fulfilled to have a perfect disease-free family. As you can see, this is just one diagram of an HIV patient. You can see how the person looks. This is a bad condition, which I don't pray for anybody. So, this is a diagram. I hope you can look at this very well at your own convenience. Lastly, for today, we have some assignments to guide us on how far we have learnt on this lesson. We have explained the followings: HIV/AIDS, STD. Number 3, causes and effects of sexually transmitted disease. On this today, we will be cutting it off. That is, this is the last part of this lesson for today, where we will be taking the lesson to an end. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so as to get updated on our next class. Thank you. God bless you.